Animal Farm, written by George Orwell in 1945, is a fictional book. It's a narrative about animals that rise up and take over a farm, and they rename the farm to Animal Farm. This book has been read by many people over the years, and you'll find plenty of commentaries about this book, but I'll just do an overview of the book for you. In chapter 1 we find a farm that's run by a human named Mr. Jones, and he isn't managing the farm very well, and there's a day when the animals are fed up with his management and type of management, and so they start thinking about generating a revolution. In chapter 2 the animals have successfully taken over the farm, and they start making some rules about how the farm should be governed, so they could generate what's called the 7 Commandments. And they change the name from Manor Farm to Animal Farm. In chapter 3 we find the animals start to diversify in their roles, and so the pigs find that they're particularly intelligent and they start learning a lot in terms of reading. Some animals find it difficult to read, and they leave it up to the pigs to, mostly the pigs and other more able animals to work on to be an intelligentsia, I guess. In chapter 4 we find the knowledge of the animal farm being spread around the countryside in England. The humans try to launch an attack to retake Animal Farm, and they successfully repel the humans from trying to take the farm back. In chapter 5 we start seeing some, I guess, rebellion towards the rules and regulations of the farm. One of the horses likes being pet by the humans on the farms next to the animal farm. We also find a bit of disagreement between the ruling pigs, because the pigs know so much. They've been reading a lot of history, a lot of strategy and history. They end up being essentially the de facto governors of the farm, and there's a bit of dissension within the ranks. In chapter 6 the animals are working towards a common goal. They're trying to build a windmill for the farm, and they find that one of the pigs, the ruling pigs, ends up being sent away, and a pig that, or Napoleon, who's one of the other pigs, he was originally opposing the idea of the windmill, and now he's for it again. And we find a theme through this book, a reoccurring theme being the idea of illusion being used in government, and the question of what is truth and how things get changed over time. The idea of questioning the commoners and their ideas over time. Yeah, so we find the themes of changing ideas and the questioning of memories, and then also the idea of the leaders of this group, being the pigs mostly, and Napoleon for this part, being correct. They're always assumed to be correct. In chapter 7, the previous leader, or one of the previous leaders, Snowball, is considered to be roaming the farm, and a lot of the ills that occur during the farm are blamed on him. It's kind of hard. The really interesting part of the book I found was it's hard to tell what's true and what's actually happening and what's hearsay among the animals. It's a very interesting part of the book, or an interesting theme. Later on in chapter 7 it goes into some of the animals admit to have been breaking some of the rules and showing allegiance to Snowball and talking about him in good light, and they end up becoming slaughtered. In chapter 8 we continue to see some of the commandments being amended. Later on the animals go back to look at the commandments they had made at the start of Animal Farm, and they notice that there are small amendments. Some of them notice there are amendments, and in some cases they're not sure whether or not the amendments were there in the first place. In chapter 9 we have a long-standing character named Boxer, who is a horse who gave a lot of effort towards building the farm, building the windmill, and gave a lot of his effort, waking up really early, so on and so forth. We get to this chapter and he's reaching retirement, and he's old and he's injured, and they end up sending him away on to the glue factory, much to the chagrin of many of his comrades. In chapter 10 we skip ahead a couple of years. A lot of the older animals have passed away, and we find that the new animals have no idea or don't remember the earlier times, and we find that a lot of the commandments are taken away, and the last commandment's left is all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And the pigs have taken entirely over the farm, and through their propaganda machine they have essentially become humans in their reign over the farm and other animals. Animal Farm, I originally thought it was supposed to be a commentary on communism. However, through finally having been able to read it, I think it's more a cautionary tale about being able to evaluate history, evaluate our place in history, and being able to question and hold truth, and to be careful in holding our memories. This book is relatively short. I highly recommend it as a read. This has been a summary of the story. It goes into far more detail, and it's written very well. I would recommend 1984 over Animal Farm. However, if you just want a short book to read, it's an excellent book. Otherwise, this has been George Orwell's Animal Farm.